Welcome, everyone, to another deep dive. Today, we're embarking on, well, really an extraordinary journey, peeling back the layers of a truly classic tale of extraterrestrial contact. Our focus is the fascinating, incredibly detailed first-hand account of Truman Bethurum. Just an ordinary man, really, from the Nevada desert who, quite literally, found himself plunged into an extraordinary world.
And the source material for this deep dive is just foundational. It's a key text in UFO history. Aboard a flying saucer, Truman Bethurum and the people of the planet Clarion, a true account of factual experience.
Right.
What's remarkable about Bethurum's story is its richness. It gives us this chronological narrative of his encounters that began way back in 1952.
A long time ago now.
Exactly. So our mission today is to thoroughly unpack every facet of his experiences. We want to trace his journey from an initial, very pragmatic skepticism about flying saucers.
He wasn't a believer at all.
It's not at all. To the truly profound, often philosophical discussions he apparently had with these alien beings. We'll be delving into the specific, vivid details that make his account so compelling and frankly so influential within what many call the golden age of ufology. Ultimately, what can we, you listening right now, truly learn from this narrative? About the nature of belief, maybe. The way we perceive the other, and that fundamental human quest for understanding when we face the vast, intimidating unknown.
Okay, let's set the scene. Our story kicks off in July of 1952, smack dab in the middle of Mormon Mesa, Nevada.
Right.
So, picture this. Truman Bethurum, a salt-of-the-earth asphalt plant operator, finds himself baking in this blistering, desolate desert.
Not exactly a vacation spot.
Definitely not. And he's not there by choice, mind you. He'd much rather be back in the cool coastal comfort of Santa Barbara, California. But a prolonged operating engineer's strike, coupled with some strained finances, basically forced him to take this remote job. So there he is, sweating under the merciless desert sun, surrounded by this stark, unforgiving landscape. It's a profound contrast to the life he knew.
Yeah, the difference must have been jarring.
Totally. And here's a crucial point. At this stage, Bethurum is absolutely not a believer in flying saucers.
Right, despite the fact that sightings were becoming, common knowledge?
Exactly. By 52, public awareness was widespread, almost a cultural phenomenon, but he just dismissed them as speculation, maybe hoaxes.
Okay.
This context is vital because it sets up this fantastic wrong place, right time narrative, doesn't it?
It really does. He's not looking for anything.
Nope.
Yeah.
Just an ordinary man in an ordinary, albeit uncomfortable truck, about to step into something truly remarkable and utterly world-altering.
It's the sheer unlikeliness of it that makes it so intriguing. He's not seeking anything extraordinary, just, trying to make ends meet. And this leads us to the fateful night of July 27th. After finishing his evening shift at the asphalt plant, Bethurum decides to head out into the desert in his small, unassuming truck.
Okay.
His goal, a surprisingly domestic one, actually. His wife loved the sea, and he'd heard that this vast Nevada wasteland had once, like eons ago, been covered by ocean.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so his hope was to maybe locate a variety of ancient, fossilized shells for her collection.
Ah, that's kind of sweet.
It is, isn't it? He was out there under a bright full moon with only a flashlight to help him search. But after a long day under that blazing sun, the cool desert night just sort of lulled him towards sleep.
Understandable.
Yeah. He decided to take a short nap under the immense expanse of stars before, reluctantly turning back empty-handed to the work camp. What's truly striking here, and almost poetically ironic, is this mundane, almost intimate activity collecting shells for his wife, leading to something so profound.
Yeah, the juxtaposition.
Exactly. He was literally searching for something ancient in the earth, a relic of a forgotten sea, only to stumble upon something ancient and yet utterly otherworldly.
Absolutely. It's that contrast between the ordinary and the extraordinary that just grabs you. And that's precisely when the Strangers in the Night event unfolds.
Okay, here we go.
So as he's dozing, lost in the quiet of the desert, a soft, almost imperceptible hum breaks through his dreams, gently pulling him awake.
A hum?
Yeah, a soft hum. When he fully opens his eyes, he's jolted by what he sees. His vehicle is surrounded. A group of small men, each standing maybe between 4 and 5 feet tall, are milling about his truck. They're mumbling to each other in this low, unintelligible language. He quickly realizes the hum he initially heard was actually their speech.
Okay, so not mechanical, it's them.
Right. They're all wearing these unfamiliar black uniforms, complete with black-billed caps and trousers that have this peculiar blue-gray cast under the stark moonlight. But what's truly unsettling is the appearance of their faces. Dark, taut, and hard, completely free of any wrinkles or blemishes. They seem, well, ageless.
Ageless, wow.
And notably, he observes no apparent weapons, just this quiet, inscrutable presence.
It's that immediate auditory and visual detail that creates such an overwhelming sense of, well, uncanny otherness, doesn't it?
Oh boy.
The lack of wrinkles, the tautness of their skin, it suggests something profoundly beyond human aging or biology. I mean, what sort of psychological impact would that have on anyone?
Right.
To be suddenly confronted by being so clearly not from your world, yet appearing so controlled, so impassive, it profoundly disorients Bethurum, highlighting how even a seemingly benign encounter with the truly alien can shatter your fundamental sense of reality and security.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no aggression, no overt threat mentioned, just this silent, inexplicable presence that instantly shifts his world on its axis.
Exactly. Bethurum just freezes with fright, immediately noticing his truck's open windows with alarm.
Oh yeah, good point. Vulnerable.
Yeah. One of the small men steps closer and speaks to him in that strange, guttural language, like a series of low clicks and murmurs.
Okay.
Bethurum, understandably, indicates as best he can that he doesn't understand, and then in a moment that must have sent shivers of disbelief down his spine, the man nods and says in perfectly clear, unaccented English, "You name it."
Whoa. Just like that.
Just like that. A wave of immense relief must have just washed over Bethurum, hearing his own language spoken in this bizarre situation.
I bet.
He climbs out of the truck, his hand instinctively extended in friendship. But then, as he turns, what he sees next sends him right back into a state of stunned paralysis, freezing his greeting in his throat.
Oh man, what now?
Hovering low behind his truck, gleaming under the moon, is a flying saucer.
The saucer, okay?
He describes it in astonishing detail. A gargantuan disc, its burnished steel gleaming with an alien luster, measuring a staggering 300 feet across and maybe 6 yards deep at its center.
300 feet, that's huge.
Yeah. Enormous. It had a 3-foot metal rim encircling the craft, and it was utterly wingless, completely free of any visible means of support. It just floated as if defying gravity several feet above the scrubby desert brush.
Wow.
The sudden shift from initial confusion to clear English is so powerful, only to be immediately overshadowed by this undeniable, massive visual proof of the saucer.
Yeah, talk about sensory overload.
Right. The sheer scale and meticulous detail he provides describing this massive silent disc really anchors the fantastic in something concrete and truly awe-inspiring.
And what's fascinating here is that, despite the initial shock, these small men immediately crowd around him, anxious, almost eagerly, to shake his hand.
Really? Eager?
Yeah, that's what he says. Their leader introduces himself and, grasping Bethurum's arm firmly, agrees to introduce him to the ship's captain.
Okay, so there's a captain.
Right. As they move towards the waiting craft, Bethurum asks his guide what country they call home. And the answer is incredibly cryptic, almost like something out of a whimsical fairy tale, yet with a hint of profound depth. Our homes are our castles in a faraway land.
Huh. Castles in a faraway land. Okay.
This eagerness to shake hands, combined with that almost childlike, whimsical answer about their home, adds a curious layer of, benign curiosity to these aliens, contrasting sharply with their advanced technology.
Yeah, it's not what you'd expect.
No. It subverts the expectation of menacing invaders. As they near the saucer, the entire disk gracefully tilts toward them, revealing a landing step with a single handrail.
Wow, like an invitation.
Pretty much. They ascend and enter the vehicle through a topside doorway, walking about 15 paces down a brightly lit corridor. Bethurum is then ushered into a furnished cabin where he's stunned once again, this time by the ship's captain, a beautiful woman.
A woman captain. Interesting.
Yeah. She's shorter than the men, with black hair and olive-toned skin, wearing no jewelry or makeup. Her uniform is striking and distinctly alien. A bright red skirt, a velvety black blouse, and a black and red beret.
Quite the description.
Very specific. Her proud eyes consider Bethurum for a long moment, and apparently satisfied, she dismisses his escorts with a subtle gesture and motions for him to take a seat on a long couch.
So he's inside.
He's inside. The meticulous description of Aura Rhanes completely subverts any expectation of what an alien captain might look like, presenting a figure that is both alien and strangely, disarmingly familiar.
So here is Truman Bethurum, an asphalt worker from Nevada, face to face with an alien captain. Aura Rhanes immediately begins to explain that she and her crew are interplanetary travelers who have only very recently begun their contact with Earth.
Okay, so they're new here, basically.
Seems so. Amazed and overwhelmed, Bethurum naturally asks about their planet of origin and, crucially, how they managed to survive the vast lengths of time required to traverse the immense void of space.
Yeah, the big questions.
Right. Her response is profound and a key insight into their nature. She states that time and distance are inconsequential to her people, and that such questions held little meaning for them.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Inconsequential. How does that even work?
Exactly. Then she makes a chilling revelation, asserting that her race had already, in their short stay, divined humanity's warlike nature.
Oh, wow. They feared us out quickly.
Apparently. She warns that while they are a peaceful, religious, and understanding people, they are also cautious and well-equipped to evade attack or capture by earthly military powers.
This exchange sets a really crucial theme for their interactions, doesn't it? The Clarionites' advanced understanding and peaceful intentions are in stark contrast with Earth's perceived destructive tendencies.
Yeah, it's a recurring point.
The idea that time and distance are inconsequential for them isn't just a quirky detail. It's a window into a fundamentally different mode of existence. I mean, imagine a society where the constraints of temporal and spatial travel, which dictate so much of our planning and ambition, simply don't apply.
Mind-boggling.
Their long-term planning, their societal goals, their very perception of existence would be inherently different, characterized by, maybe, a deep patience and a boundless scope. It also begs the question, how quickly and through what means did they assess Earth's nature so completely? It implies a level of observation and analysis far beyond our current capabilities.
Absolutely. It's a fundamental difference that flips our entire perspective. As she speaks, Bethurum notes her striking figure and again observes that strange, taut quality of the skin that he'd noticed on the smaller men.
Right, that smooth skin again.
Yeah. He describes her face as gaunt and sharp-boned, almost as if some sort of plastic sheet had been drawn tight over an underlying frame.
Like artificial. Or just
hard to say from the description. Her dark eyes reflected great understanding, and he feels they seem to guide his questioning, leading him psychically towards certain questions, away from others.
Psychic guidance, so mind control light.
Or maybe just subtle influence. Her voice, he says, is hypnotic, sing-songy, like someone reading Mother Goose stories aloud to a child, which is such a charming and disarming detail for an alien captain.
Mother Goose. That's unexpected.
Isn't it? She queries him about his work and the structures being built in the desert, referring to the asphalt plant. She also answers his questions about other sightings, explaining that while some of the flying saucers sighted in American skies do indeed belong to her people, the more bizarre news stories involving monsters with hooks or grotesque tails were creations of liars seeking publicity.
The classic dismissal of other weirder accounts, setting themselves up as the credible ones.
Exactly. The physical descriptions add to the mystery and profound sense of otherness, particularly that plastic sheet skin. But the idea of her psychically guiding his questioning implies a level of subtle control or influence over Bethurum's thoughts, suggesting this isn't an entirely equal interaction, but rather one where the Clarionites are subtly directing the flow of information.
Yeah, steering the conversation.
And her immediate dismissal of liars who create sensational stories about monsters positions the Clarionites as the credible sources within this fantastical narrative, lending weight to their own account.
It definitely sets up a dynamic where they are in control of the narrative, at least within their interactions. And as if in response to some imperceptible signal, the lady captain rises without warning and leads Bethurum back down the long corridor and out of the saucer.
Okay. This is over.
Pretty much.
Oh.
As they emerge into the desert air through the topside portal, he's absolutely shocked to discover that the sun is already well over the horizon.
Lost time.
Classic missing time. Many hours had passed in what felt to him like mere moments aboard the ship. He thanks his interplanetary hosts for allowing him to come aboard what he later learned they referred to as the Admiral's Scow. A curious, almost affectionate nickname for such a massive, technologically advanced craft.
The Admiral's Scow.
The captain promises to return soon to visit him again, telling him that all he needs to do is think the place and the day, and she and her crew would hear his thoughts and keep the appointment.
Telepathic appointments, wow.
Yeah. The great saucer then dips again toward the sandy desert floor. Bethurum steps off, and the door closes silently behind him. As the disk rises into the dawn sky, he examines its immensity. There are no propellers, no rudders, no exhaust vents. It makes no sound at all as it drifts gracefully toward the clouds, then vanishes suddenly, without leaving so much as a vapor trail in its wake.
Just gone.
Poof! This missing time phenomenon is such a classic UFO trope, adding to the unreality and the profound nature of the experience. And the reveal of their telepathic summoning ability is a new and significant power, suggesting a bond that transcends physical proximity. The quiet, effortless departure just reinforces their immense technological superiority. It makes you wonder, what are the ethical implications for an advanced culture like this interacting with less advanced ones like ours, given their ability to manipulate time perception and communicate telepathically?
That's a critical point to consider. And after such an experience, Bethurum resolves not to tell anyone about it.
Smart move, probably.
Yeah, on the long ride back to the work camp, he couldn't help but imagine the ridicule and persecution he would receive if his fellow workers knew what had transpired. He knew full well he would have dished out the same disbelief only the day before. But what he absolutely doesn't expect is corroboration. When he gets back to camp, he's surprised to find Whitey Edwards, his boss, waiting anxiously for his return.
Oh, his boss saw something.
Apparently. Edwards immediately asks if an airplane had landed or crashed in the desert because he personally witnessed something huge and metallic descending toward Bethurum's location in the night.
Whoa. Okay, so someone else did see something.
Yes. And in the face of his friend's genuine concern, Bethurum reluctantly admits with a deep breath, it was a flying saucer.
Wow. Had to come clean.
He did. For the rest of the day, he gets the jokes and jibes he expected, his fellow workmen teasing him about little green men and openly questioning his sobriety and sanity.
Yeah, predictable reaction.
But surprisingly, a few of the men also approach him with serious questions, allowing themselves to wonder aloud about the possibility of life on other worlds.
So not everyone mocked him. Some were curious.
Right. When his workday is done, Bethurum returns to his small hotel room, still so highly charged from the encounter that with shaking hands, he locates stationery and pen, writes out a letter, and places it carefully on his nightstand before going to sleep. He writes, "If I am found dead in my bed, it will be because my heart has stopped from the terrible excitement induced by seeing and going aboard a flying saucer."
Good grief. He really thought it might kill him.
The excitement, yeah. This entire section really highlights the immediate, tangible social consequences of such a claim in the 1950s. Edwards' corroboration is crucial here, validating Bethurum's experience beyond just his word, offering a sliver of external proof amidst the skepticism.
That's huge for his own sanity, I bet.
Definitely. The mixed reactions among his coworkers, the dismissive jokes versus the serious inquisitive questions, beautifully illustrate the spectrum of belief and skepticism prevalent in society even then. And that letter truly underscores the profound psychological impact the event had on him, solidifying its reality to him, even if no one else believed. It truly makes you ask, how does one even begin to process and communicate an experience that defies all common understanding and invites such intense social scrutiny?
It's an almost impossible burden to carry alone. Despite that partial validation from Whitey, Truman Bethurum's story about meeting the space people spreads quickly through the Wells Cargo Company work camp, and it earns him a whole lot of derision.
Yeah, the ridicule starts.
His coworkers nickname him Saucers, which just isolates him further. He even starts questioning his own memory, the vividness of the encounter, wondering if it had all been a dream or some kind of heat-induced hallucination brought on by the unrelenting desert sun.
Self-doubt creeps in.
Big time. But then, on the night of August 3rd, 1952, he sees the gleaming disk again, confirming forever, at least for himself, the undeniable physical reality of his experience.
Oh, validation.
Exactly. He's still working the night shift, finishing up repairs on several trucks, when he sees what looks like a meteor streaking through the night sky, pulsing brightly from bluish-green to yellow, orange, and back again.
Okay, pulsing colors.
Right. This meteor falls silently behind the dune desert landscape, about half a mile east of his first encounter site. Certain the saucer had returned, Bethurum lights out across the desert in his own small truck, bumping and bouncing furiously over the rough terrain, too eager even to bother searching out a road.
He races out there.
Finds the ship again, hovering close to the ground, only a mile from busy Highway 91. Aura Rhanes beckons him aboard, and they talk like old friends, as if no time has passed.
Wow, just picks right back up.
Yeah. She explains that Earthlings and her own people are very similar, sharing the same feelings and foibles, the same natural talents and challenges.
Okay, emphasizing the connection.
The coworker derision really pushed Bethurum to a point of self-doubt, making this second, indisputable sighting absolutely vital for his personal validation and mental well-being. The precise description of the meteor provides a key detail, a kind of internal tell for distinguishing saucers from natural phenomena later on.
Good point. The pulsing colors.
And the emphasis on shared humanity with the Clarionites immediately creates this relatable bridge to the alien, making them seem less like incomprehensible beings and more like distant yet familiar cousins.
It's a powerful moment of reassurance for him, that bridge of shared experience, and this leads to some truly profound societal insights from Aura Rhanes. She explains that while her people share similar natures with Earthlings, they have chosen a less destructive course than the one Earth is currently pursuing. She is explicitly unimpressed by Earth technology and military might, lamenting our invariably destructive use of these resources.
Ouch, a direct critique.
Pretty blunt. She also states, quite frankly, that she values Earth's politics and politicians no more highly.
Double ouch.
When Bethurum, perhaps seeking common ground or understanding, asks about pressing earthly issues like economic inequality and juvenile delinquency, she responds with a statement that defines their utopian ideal. These things are sad. I'm glad we're troubled with neither on Clarion.
So that's when she names the planet Clarion.
Yep. That's the reveal.
Yeah.
After only half an hour, the captain signals the visit is over. As Bethurum steps off the saucer, he notices something peculiar. His watch has stopped.
The magnetic field thing again.
Seems likely. Even the winding gears of the now useless device seem to have given out under the assault of the saucer's powerful, pervasive magnetic field. This is a core critique of Earth society from an outsider's perspective. It defines Clarion by what it lacks, all the societal ills that plague humanity, making it sound like an ideal, almost paradisiacal place.
Yeah, paradise defined by negatives.
The stopped watch is a concrete physical detail reinforcing the alien technology's powerful and pervasive influence, a subtle reminder that their very presence alters the fabric of our reality. It begs an important question for us as listeners. Is a world without trouble of any kind truly achievable? Or is it merely a dream that we as humans are forever chasing, perpetually falling short?
It's a utopian vision, certainly, and a stark contrast to Bethurum's own lived experience. Barely 2 weeks later, on August 18th, 1952, the scow returns, this time streaking down from the sky for a spectacular silent landing less than 200 yards from Bethurum's truck.
They keep coming back.
They do. He joins the captain again in her cabin, this time armed with a meticulously compiled list of questions. Topping his list was the lady captain's name.
He finally asks.
Yes. His friend Whitey Edwards had chided him for not knowing it, saying with a laugh, "Then you haven't been properly introduced yet." Bethurum was determined to remedy that oversight.
Good for him.
She tells him her name is Aura Rhanes and spells it out loud in clear English so he can accurately record it in his growing notes.
Aura Rhanes. Okay.
They speak about the desert's vast spaces, extreme heat, and scarcity of water, to which she cryptically concludes, with a hint of melancholy, "I expect to be around for 1,000 years, but the water in your deserts will mostly be tears."
Whoa. That's ominous. Tears.
Right. Very poetic and dark. She even allows him a moment of physical contact, letting him touch her arm and shoulder, to assure himself of her reality, to confirm he wasn't dreaming or hallucinating.
Proof of life. Sorta.
Yeah. And in a truly humanizing moment, they exchange family stories, with the seemingly youthful Captain Rhanes revealing she's a grandmother with 2 small grandchildren back on Clarion.
A grandmother? Wow, okay, changes the perception again.
Totally. Getting her name and these deeply personal details truly humanizes the interaction, adding layers of intimacy and relatability to this extraordinary encounter. And that tears comment from Aura Rhanes. It's just this moment of dark foreshadowing or prophetic insight, perhaps about the future of worlds she observes with a mix of wonder and concern.
That added personal touch makes the whole account feel so much more grounded despite its fantastic elements. The conversation then turns again to the relentless social conditions on Earth. Aura Rhanes speaks sadly about the continual strife her crew has observed among Earthlings, contrasting it sharply with other planets whose inhabitants are much too busy improving the welfare of their people to have time for even minor controversies.
So other planets are just better behaved, focused.
Seems to be the implication. It truly sounds like a harmonious existence elsewhere. Bethurum, ever curious, then asks about these other planets, explaining that scientists on Earth currently believe that life isn't possible elsewhere in our solar system or beyond.
Right, the prevailing scientific view at the time.
She patiently explains that such a view is understandable, as signs of life are virtually impossible to detect from a great distance. She describes how from afar, all one sees is a hodgepodge of lights and shadow, with nothing hinting of life discernible until approached at close range by an interplanetary vehicle like the Clarion scow.
Okay, so you need to get close. Makes sense.
What's particularly telling is that Bethurum's last questions for this visit focus mainly on the mechanical operations and capabilities of the saucer itself. The how, the why, the technical specifics.
Wants to know how the thing works.
Naturally. But each time he asks for technical details, his questions go unanswered or were gently deflected back toward issues of philosophy and social conditions on Earth.
Dodging the tech questions again.
Consistently. He deduces, quite acutely, that this wise and beautiful woman from another world is simply not prepared to trust him or any earthling with the secrets of so powerful a technology whose potential might be perverted for destructive purposes, even turned against the Clarionites themselves someday by his own primitive and warlike race.
This consistent pattern really reinforces the Clarionites' moral superiority and their clear, mission-oriented focus on guiding humanity, rather than empowering it with dangerous technology.
Yeah, guidance over gifts.
Their explanation for why Earth hasn't detected life elsewhere provides a logical, non-condescending reason within the narrative, avoiding any sense of human scientific inadequacy. And the consistent deflection of technical questions, particularly about a device as powerful as the saucer, powerfully highlights the profound caution and concern about humanity's potential for misuse, directly linking back to their initial warning about Earth's warlike nature. It's a pragmatic approach to interplanetary relations, rooted in self-preservation and a cautious assessment of our species.
Now, despite all these incredible conversations and the growing personal connection, on the night of August 25th, 1952, when the Clarion scow returns, Bethurum is desperate for independent confirmation.
Wants proof for others.
Exactly. He'd convinced Whitey Edwards to accompany him on his night shift, hoping he might see the saucer and meet the space people for himself. But, in a cruel twist of fate, just as the moment seems ripe, Whitey gets called away for a brief errand, leaving Bethurum alone on the mesa.
Oh no, bad timing.
Terrible timing, and the Clarionites choose just that moment to make their appearance. A voice suddenly says from beside his truck, "Hello? You know that we are here."
Just appears.
Bethurum jumps out, startled, and turns to find Aura Rhanes standing near him, the silvery moonlight giving her smooth, clear skin the appearance of sculpted marble, almost ethereal.
Sculpted marble skin.
Wow. But what's truly astonishing is that he doesn't even see the saucer until he slowly turns to the southwest and finds the massive ship behind him, where it must have landed so silently that he remained completely unaware of its presence mere yards away.
Landed without him hearing a thing. Incredible stealth.
Yeah. Several of the diminutive crewmen are milling about the vessel, conversing in their low, mumbling language. The missed opportunity for independent proof adds so much to the narrative's tension and to Bethurum's continuing isolation. It's a common thread in contactee stories, where the proof always seems just out of reach for others.
Always just missing the witness.
Right. That silent landing is such a stark contrast to any typical vehicle, really emphasizing their advanced capabilities and stealth. And the marble skin detail, it just adds to her ethereal, otherworldly appearance, making her almost like a statue come to life.
It's as if they operate on a different sensory plane entirely. Bethurum, now aboard the saucer again, brings a new set of questions, this time from his friends and even local children, eager for answers.
Passing on questions now.
Yeah. He asks if Clarion, their home planet, might be known to Earthlings by another name, perhaps Mars, Jupiter, or Venus. Captain Rhanes assures him with an almost gentle patience that Clarion is unique and completely unknown to and invisible from Earth. Located, she says, on the other side of the moon.
The other side of the moon. Okay, that's specific and mysterious.
Very. She then goes on to explain that from space, Earth itself looks like a lifeless moon. Its abundance invisible at a distance, just as our moon's abundance is invisible from Earth, from our vantage point.
Huh. Perspective.
And here's where it gets really fascinating and unique. She states that illusory phantom planets inhabit our solar system as well. These, she clarifies, are actually mirages cast into space by light refracting off the moisture in some planets' atmospheres.
Phantom planets, like atmospheric mirages on a cosmic scale.
Exactly. These mirror image globes, she explains, could not be distinguished from real planets until an observer was in immediate proximity. When he asks about Mars, Captain Rhanes describes it as a beautiful place to see, a great manufacturing planet with many human inhabitants who live in large, flowered country estates.
Mars is inhabited. Manufacturing. Flower estates. That's a very specific vision.
Isn't it? She then slyly suggests that Earthlings might soon be allowed to visit her world.
Ah, dangling the trip again.
The other side of the moon location adds to the mystery and strongly implies hidden realities just beyond our current perception, a kind of cosmic veil. The concept of Earth looking like a lifeless moon from afar is a truly humbling perspective, a stark reminder of our cosmic insignificance. But the phantom planet's detail, that's a truly thought-provoking concept, blending a scientific-sounding explanation with a sense of cosmic illusion, raising an important question about how much of our perceived reality might actually be a mirage, or limited by our observation methods.
Yeah, makes you wonder what else we're missing.
And her description of Mars offers a vibrant glimpse into a very different, industrialized, yet beautiful, inhabited world, expanding the scope of her claims about life throughout the cosmos.
That's a mind-bending idea, phantom planets. He comes prepared for this meeting, even bringing a camera.
Oh, finally. The camera.
He asks if he might be permitted to take the lady captain's picture as proof of his contact, something tangible to show the doubters. Her reply is cool, almost dismissive. I think not, she says, adding, merely a woman in a room, a picture wouldn't prove anything.
Denied. And such a strange reason. Merely a woman in a room. Almost philosophical.
Right. This is such a classic contactee trope that refusal to be photographed often cited as an explanation for the lack of physical evidence. But her reasoning is uniquely dismissive of its evidentiary value, suggesting she understands human skepticism far better than Bethurum does.
Good point.
After this exchange, he's escorted from the saucer, again with the promise of a return visit. Once outside, he makes a casual comment to one of the little men about the immense size of the ship, wondering aloud at its massive weight.
Yeah, 300 feet, it must weigh tons.
Captain Rhanes, overhearing from the doorway, laughs, a light melodious sound, and suggests that he try to lift the ship with his bare hands.
Lift it? Is she joking?
Bethurum, perhaps on a whim or a surge of adrenaline, wedges his shoulder under the protruding rim of the saucer and heaves, and the most astonishing thing happens.
Yeah.
The whole craft rose easily at his touch.
What? He lifted the saucer.
He tipped the disc several feet off the ground before lowering it again, utterly dumbfounded. The little men scurry past him to reboard, and in a flash, the ship is gone.
Okay, that's impossible. Anti-gravity. Field manipulation.
Something. This feat of lifting a 300-foot saucer is an absolutely stunning demonstration of advanced technology, likely involving some form of anti-gravity or localized field manipulation. It profoundly and physically confirms the alien nature and power of the craft to Bethurum in a way no photograph ever could. It's a moment that would have shattered his understanding of physics.
It's an undeniable visceral validation that transcends logic, and then comes a truly strange, almost unsettling incident. A restaurant encounter.
Okay, what happened here?
Around 3:30 a.m. on August 27, 1952, Bethurum is enjoying a late-night snack with Whitey Edwards in a small diner in Glendale, Nevada. Edwards suddenly elbows him, gesturing eagerly towards the lunch counter, where a small man is seated next to a tiny woman wearing a black and red beret, a black velvety blouse, and a brilliant red pleated skirt. It's unmistakably Aura Rhanes and one of her crewmen.
In a diner, in public.
In public. Bethurum looks and confirms Edwards' suspicion. He asks if Edwards would like to be introduced to them, perhaps finally getting that much-needed corroboration.
This is it. The moment.
But Edwards, strangely put off by the unexpected public presence of these celestial visitors, refuses, almost nervously, and begins gathering his things to leave.
He chickens out. Why?
It just says he was strangely put off. Maybe too much reality. If you do, Bethurum cautions him, trying to grasp the moment, stand near the door so you can see what they get into and which way they go when they come out.
Good thinking. Get some info.
Bethurum then approaches his extraterrestrial friends. I beg your pardon, lady, he says, his heart pounding, but haven't we met before? No, she insists to each of his repeated requests for recognition, her eyes cool and distant. No.
She denies knowing him. In public.
Flat-out denial. He turns, baffled, to pay his check, and when he looks back, the pair is simply gone from the counter.
Vanished again.
Just gone. He rushes outside and frantically demands Whitey Edwards report where had they gone. Honest true, his friend responds, utterly bewildered. Not a blessed soul passed through that door until you came out.
Didn't leave through the door. Okay, that's just weird.
This public sighting is a pivotal moment because it offers genuine potential for independent verification. But it ends in perplexing denial and an instantaneous, seemingly impossible disappearance. Edward's strong aversion to them in that public setting is also interesting. suggesting a deeper, perhaps subconscious unease with such a profound revelation.
Yeah, why was he so spooked?
The sudden vanishing act emphatically highlights their incredible control over their presence and perception, a power that defies our understanding. It raises an important question. Why would they appear in public, allow themselves to be seen, only to deny their identity and then vanish without a trace? What was the true purpose of this fleeting, enigmatic interaction?
That's a truly baffling turn of events. The contact continues to deepen, but so do Bethurum's anxieties, not just about the aliens, but about his personal life.
The real-world consequences start hitting.
Yeah. For some months now, he'd been trying to convince his wife, Mary, to join him in Mormon Mesa, hoping she, too, might witness the spaceship landings and meet the people of Clarion.
Trying to share the experience.
But she continually refused, citing various reasons like caring for a friend's child or the intense desert heat. Finally, he writes her a long, heartfelt letter, the first time he details his extraordinary experiences to her, begging her to come and see for herself.
Puts it all down for her.
But again, she refuses, this time voicing grave concern for his state of mind, insisting he forget all about flying saucers so as not to draw negative attention to himself or his family.
Oof. Rejection from his wife. That's gotta hurt.
Yeah, her response leaves him angry, frustrated, and deeply dejected. Worse yet, he's starting to hear the very negative rumblings from his coworkers that Mary feared.
Oh boy.
Some of the men, many with sons fighting in Korea at the time, had come to believe that if Bethurum was really consorting with strange foreigners and flying machines, these strangers must be Korean spies, making him out to be a traitor to his country.
Wow, Cold War paranoia meets UFOs. Dangerous mix.
Totally. The paranoia was palpable. The men even threatened to follow him on his nightly desert excursions and shoot him and anyone coming down out of the sky at the first sign of collision.
Threats. Serious threats.
Sounds like it. The scow appears for a fifth visit on September 5th, 1952. After the usual session of hard questions and vague answers, Captain Rhanes fixes Bethurum with a concerned look, acknowledging his visible distress and asking how she might ease his mind.
She notices he's stressed.
He confides in her about his wife's concern and the escalating coworker threats. He asks if he's endangering his newfound friends by continuing to meet with them. She laughs lightly and deliciously.
Laughs at the threats.
Yeah. Why, Truman, she says, her voice carrying an air of profound confidence. Do you imagine anyone on Earth can harm us? They might annoy us, yes, but never harm us. None of your Earth people have anywhere near the powers which we control.
Okay. A clear statement of superiority and invulnerability.
The increasing personal and social cost of Bethurum's encounters adds such a relatable human dimension to the narrative, highlighting the immense pressure he was under. His wife's fears and the coworker threats vividly illustrate the very real-world consequences of claiming extraterrestrial contact in the deeply suspicious 1950s. And Aura Rhanes' response is such a powerful assertion of their invulnerability, a crucial insight into their boundless confidence and capabilities, almost a nonchalant display of superior power.
It truly is. This assertion of invulnerability leads directly to a chilling demonstration of that power. Bethurum, still concerned for their safety, asks what would happen if someone did attack them. Would the attackers be killed?
The logical next question.
Captain Rhanes insists that her people killed no one, but with a subtle shift in her expression states that hostile parties would simply disappear.
Disappear? How?
She then escorts him out of the saucer, pausing at the doorway to request a small material object with which she might demonstrate the true, unimaginable power possessed by the people of Clarion. He unclips a small flashlight from his belt, a mundane, everyday item, and holds it out.
The flashlight.
Without a sound, the device vanished before his eyes. He stares into its empty hand with absolute amazement, his mind struggling to comprehend what he just witnessed.
Just gone. Poof.
Yes, it's gone, she says quietly. Forever.
Forever.
Bethurum echoes solemnly, the word hanging heavy in the desert air, utterly stunned by the finality of it.
Forever? What does that mean?
He steps away from the saucer, his mind reeling, forgetting even to say goodbye. When he turns to offer a belated wave, the ship is gone, leaving him alone with the lingering presence of an impossible act. The concept of disappearing forever without killing is a morally ambiguous power, isn't it?
Yeah, it's unsettling.
It avoids outright death, but implies permanent removal from existence or known reality. The instantaneous vanishing of that flashlight is a concrete, undeniable demonstration of a profound, seemingly magical technological capability that leaves Bethurum and us questioning the very laws of physics. It makes you ask, what are the ethical implications of such a power? Is disappearing forever truly different from death if it means being permanently removed from existence or known reality with no chance of return? The unsettling implication clearly lingers with Bethurum long after the ship has departed.
The psychological impact of that vanishing act truly haunts Bethurum. He can't get the disturbing image of the disappearing flashlight out of his mind, and the profound, unsettling meaning of forever.
Yeah, that would stick with you.
He keeps questioning if it's the same as death, if those hostile parties are truly gone, or simply somewhere else, and then adding to his worries, and almost as if his body is reacting to the bizarre physics he's experiencing.
Oh, what now?
After a visit to Las Vegas, he finds his nearly new work suit was in ruins, the whole left side of the shirt and the rear top of the trousers completely gone, as if eaten away by acid.
His suit just disintegrated.
Yeah.
Part of it.
Yeah, like acid ate it away. He hadn't had any contact he could remember with hazardous chemicals, not even spilled battery acid from the trucks he repaired for a living. What could have caused such precise yet devastating damage?
Strange.
It dawns on him with a jolt that this ruined suit had been the one he was wearing when he had, astonishingly, lifted the Clarion saucer the night before with his bare hands.
Oh, the suit he wore when he lifted the ship.
Exactly. He wonders if the craft's magnetic field or some volatile substance in its makeup could have disintegrated the fibers of his clothing, a strange byproduct of such advanced technology. He immediately adds this to his growing list of questions for the mysterious Captain Rhanes.
Another mystery to solve.
The psychological distress over the flashlight reinforces the gravity and unsettling nature of the Clarionite's power. And this ruined suit. It adds another layer of unexplained phenomena, subtly suggesting that even proximity to their technology has unforeseen physical consequences, a truly unsettling detail that points to unseen forces at play, affecting the very fabric of his reality.
It's as if the extraordinary is now bleeding into his ordinary life. So he gets to Las Vegas and stops for a haircut, wanting to look his best for Whitey Edwards' family. But he's to have no vacation from his extraterrestrial contacts.
They find him even in Vegas.
Apparently. As the barber is finishing, Bethurum spies a tiny woman passing the shop window, wearing that familiar pert beret, black velvety blouse, and red skirt with small flat pleats. It's Aura Rhanes.
Again, in public.
He jumps from the barber's chair, scattering his payment across the counter in his haste, and rushes out to try to catch her. As he steps onto the bustling street, the woman acknowledges his presence with a subtle nod that seems to cue him that she did not wish to be publicly recognized.
Acknowledges him but wants secrecy.
Okay. She quickly vanishes into the dense crowd, a ghost in plain sight. That evening, over dinner, Bethurum entertains Whitey Edwards' family with his incredible saucer stories. Anxious to convince them, he suggests they follow him out to a distant desert spot where he would attempt to telepathically summon the scow, as Captain Rhanes had assured him he could.
Testing the telepathy claim.
But his friend, perhaps remembering their last public encounter, wants no part of the plan.
Whitey's still spooked.
Seems so. Feeling dejected and stubbornly determined, Bethurum decides to go alone to the desert. He drives to a solitary spot near Henderson, Nevada, parks, and sits, wishing hard, pouring all his focus into summoning a visit.
Trying to call them with his mind.
Soon, a vivid blue flash appeared in the sky over Nellis Air Force Base. The light dances several looping circles across the night sky. Then within seconds, the scow appears, hovering silently over the sands within 50 feet of his truck.
It worked. The telepathic summons worked.
It did. The public sighting and Aura Rhanes' refusal of recognition again highlight their desire for secrecy and control over their interactions, maintaining their mystique. The failed group summons but successful solo telepathic contact powerfully emphasizes Bethurum's unique, almost singular connection to the Clarionites, and validates Aura Rhanes' prior claims of telepathic communication.
Yeah, it's his connection.
And the detail of Nellis Air Force Base adds a layer of governmental presence to this unfolding UFO narrative, placing these fantastic events within a very real-world, high-stakes context.
So the connection is truly personal for him. Bethurum is out of his truck as soon as the first of the little men disembark, anxious to go aboard. Surprised to see us here, the lady captain greets him with a knowing smile as he steps into her quarters.
She knew he called.
But he's not surprised. By now, it has all become familiar, almost routine. He moves right to his most pressing question about the flashlight. Captain Rhanes had said Clarionites never killed anybody, but if they made an attacker disappear forever, she had said about the flashlight, would that person disappear forever? And to where? And doesn't that inherently mean he would die?
Getting back to the disappearing forever thing.
Yeah.
Good.
The lady captain laughs, a soft, soothing sound, and looks engagingly into his eyes, understanding his profound anxiety. "It's true, we never kill anybody," she says soothingly. "Our enemies fall and disappear before us, then we go away. They may rise and go about their business if they have done no real damage. There is such a thing as teleportation."
Teleportation, so that's the explanation, not death, just moved.
That seems to be the implication. This explanation attempts to reconcile the seemingly contradictory claims of never killing and disappearing forever, introducing a fascinating technological solution. The concept of teleportation as the mechanism is a significant technological detail, suggesting a form of non-lethal incapacitation or displacement.
Okay, so maybe not forever, like, obliterated, but forever removed from that situation.
Possibly. It clearly alleviates Bethurum's immediate fear, but the specifics remain open to interpretation and hint at a complex power. It raises an important question for us. What exactly constitutes real damage to the Clarionites, and what are the ethical implications of wielding such a power, even if it's non-lethal? The power to simply remove someone from a situation is immense.
It's a very particular kind of nonviolence that's still quite terrifying. Bethurum's mind is eased, even if he hasn't completely grasped her explanation of teleportation. He quickly moves to his next question, something sent by an outside party.
Ah, the waitress's letter.
Right. A young waitress from the Glendale restaurant where he'd once spotted Aura Rhanes had given him a letter, a personal question for the space people, written entirely in French. She had heard him claim that Clarionites could speak all languages fluently, and this letter was her test.
The French test.
The girl had encoded her question in a language Bethurum himself couldn't read or speak, and she wanted the reply in French as well. Only then would she believe his incredible stories. He gives the letter to Captain Rhanes, requesting she respond not only in French, but also, for added emphasis, in Chinese, to really emphasize the point that the intelligences behind the flying saucers were far greater than his own, and indeed far greater than Earth's.
Upping the ante with Chinese, too.
Okay. The lady captain holds the letter briefly up to the cabin wall behind her, with the writing facing away. Then she sits down at her desk, produces pen and paper, and begins to write freely in strange, intricate Chinese characters.
Reads it through the wall, or how?
As she writes, Bethurum hears the familiar sound of a typewriter clicking away in the distance from another room. Moments later, one of the little men appears through the cabin door and hands the captain a thin, typed sheet. Bethurum sees immediately that the words on the typed sheet are in perfectly rendered French.
Wow, so they did both.
Instantly. He marvels, wondering if the crewman had somehow read the waitress's letter through the solid wall as his captain briefly held it up, or if Aura Rhanes had telepathically dictated an answer to him in French, even as she simultaneously wrote out a corresponding answer to the girl's question in Chinese.
Incredible multitasking or technology.
The content of the French letter is truly profound and utterly unexpected. It states that Clarionites are Christians, unlike the dreadful paganism they observe on Earth.
Wait, what? They're Christians.
That's what the letter says. It claims human beings have the same nature and problems, but Earth's civilization has brought many misfortunes. It gives direct advice on marital fidelity, devotion, and placing faith in God to lead a straying husband back to faith or religion.
Getting very personal and preachy now.
Very. It specifically mentions that Clarion is not acquainted with divorce, adultery, and infidelity to the dangerous degree that it exists on the planet Earth. And it concludes with a chilling warning. Earth will no longer be what it is if men do not change. They are destroying themselves by inches.
Wow, cosmic Christians delivering moral warnings. That's a twist.
A huge twist. This is a profound and utterly unexpected aspect of the Clarionites. Their explicit Christian faith and moral stance, presented with such conviction. Their ability to read and write in multiple languages, seemingly through advanced telepathy or technology, powerfully reinforces their intellectual superiority and their unique capabilities. The letter itself serves as a direct moral message to humanity, framed within personal, relatable advice. It connects personal virtue to societal well-being, contrasting Clarion's perceived purity with Earth's perceived moral decay. It raises an important question for us. What does it mean for an advanced extraterrestrial race to adhere to a religious belief system that so closely parallels Earth's? And what implications does this have for universal spirituality and the nature of consciousness in the cosmos?
That revelation about their spiritual beliefs adds an entirely new dimension to their story. Between September 16th and November 2nd, 1952, Truman Bethurum is visited by the scow from Clarion and its beautiful lady captain 5 more times.
Frequent visits now.
Yeah. With each visit, he learns more about the culture and customs of the Clarionites, and each time the promise of his personal visit to their distant world is renewed, although the trip itself always seems to be postponed until the scow's next visit.
Always next time. The dangling carrot.
Exactly. He's even instructed to make specific plans for his eventual flight into space by inviting 6 trustworthy friends, all men, and making sure they all brought sturdy shoes.
6 men, sturdy shoes. Why those details?
Right. Very specific and unexplained. The recurring postponement truly builds a sense of anticipation throughout the narrative, almost a cosmic tease, but it also subtly hints at the elusive nature of this grand promise. And those specific instructions for the trip add such curious, tangible details to an otherwise fantastical prospect. What might be the significance of all men, or even sturdy shoes in the Clarionite context? Is there a cultural or perhaps even a safety reason for these seemingly mundane requirements?
It definitely sparks curiosity about their customs. In these later conversations, Bethurum begins to conceive a clearer, more complete picture of life on the heavenly homeworld of his strange friends and of their grand mission here on Earth.
Okay, more details on Clarion.
He learns that Clarion children are educated from birth to value honesty, neatness, and order, a foundational bedrock for their society. All Clarionites continue their education throughout their long lives, with the explicit purpose of all education being to bring each individual to the greatest fulfillment of his or her personal potential.
Lifelong learning for fulfillment. Nice ideal.
They consider education and its use for enhancing the lives of their people to be the true purpose of life and society, a stark contrast to many earthly educational systems. Their visits to Earth, they explain, are for the reciprocal purpose of learning and expanding the quality of life for Clarionites and Earthlings alike, emphasizing a two-way exchange.
So they're learning from us, too.
That's the claim. Much education on Clarion is made possible by a device called a retroscope, which allows them to view any point in space or time, granting them a remarkable grasp of cosmic history, making them masters of their own past and potentially their future.
A retroscope. Like a time viewer. Whoa.
Powerful stuff.
Yeah.
For leisure, they love to dance and sing and hold many large public celebrations where they join together to appreciate the splendor of their lives and their world, fostering a strong sense of community and gratitude.
Sounds like a happy place.
Food is grown on Clarion on vast high-tech farms, utilizing advanced agricultural techniques. When harvest season arrives, everyone pitches in to gather the crops, which are then freely shared by all, highlighting a communal and equitable distribution system.
Communal farming, shared resources, utopian.
And their personal transportation is accomplished with neutronic jeeps, which are computer-controlled, making them incapable of collision, a feat made possible by a system of magnetic flashes that prevent any impact.
Neutronic jeeps, collision-proof, sign me up.
All right, there's comprehensive description, paints a vivid picture of a highly evolved, harmonious, and morally driven society. The emphasis on lifelong education for personal fulfillment and collective well-being contrasts sharply with Earth's perceived chaos and struggles. The retroscope is a truly powerful technological marvel, allowing for deep historical and cosmic understanding, a sort of universal library at their fingertips. The shared resources and collision-proof vehicles highlight a utopian ideal that serves as a profound challenge to our own societal structures. It raises an important question for us, the listeners. If Earth were to adopt even some of these principles, the focus on education for fulfillment, the shared resources, the harmony, could it achieve a similar level of societal well-being and eliminate its pervasive ills?
It paints a very compelling vision of a highly advanced yet deeply ethical civilization. They also share their broader cosmic perspective, offering a humbling view of our place in the universe. They don't find it surprising that most Earthlings don't believe in life on other worlds, because they, the Clarionites themselves, didn't accept the possibility until they began their own interplanetary expeditions and discovered life on Earth.
So they were skeptics once too. Relatable.
It's a relatable journey of discovery. They've since discovered that many planets harbor human life and that an interplanetary human community exists in space into which we will be welcomed when we are ready.
An interplanetary human community.
Yeah.
Wow. Like a galactic federation of humans.
Sort of sounds like it. This offers a hopeful, almost inspiring vision of cosmic integration, a vast network of humanity beyond our single planet. They also suggest that other beings might be visiting Earth out of fear of what we might do now that we have developed nuclear weapons, a very pragmatic and timely concern for the 1950s.
The nuclear threat, a common theme in early contactee stories.
Very common. They warn that if we were to blow ourselves up, it would set loose considerable confusion in space, negatively affecting many ET races and the broader cosmic community. This nuclear weapons concern is such a clear, practical reason for alien observation or even intervention, grounding the fantastic in the very real fears of the Cold War era.
Right. Our actions have cosmic consequences.
Clarionite visitors, they explain, keep their distance from us because of Earth's tendency to attack that which we do not understand. They are secretive, out of self-protection, and out of a desire to never hurt an Earth human, even in self-defense.
Explains the secrecy and the disappearing power. Defensive, not offensive.
Exactly. This explains their public evasiveness, and they even provide a helpful tip for distinguishing Clarionite saucers from meteors. Falling stars always fall in a downward, perfect arc, changing colors as they burn up. Any light moving in a straight line at high speed and maintaining one color is probably a Clarion scow or other interplanetary craft.
A spotter's guide. Straight line, one color. Got it.
Their own journey of discovery is a relatable touch, reminding us that belief often follows evidence. The concept of an existing interplanetary human community offers this hopeful, almost inspiring vision of cosmic integration, a vast family we could one day join. And that nuclear weapons concern, that's such a clear, pragmatic reason for alien observation, grounding the fantastic in the very real fears of the 1950s. Their secrecy is explained as a protective measure, both for themselves and for us.
It truly gives a sense of a larger, interconnected cosmos that is both awe-inspiring and slightly terrifying in its implications for Earth. After his 10th meeting with Aura Rhanes, a poignant moment occurs.
Okay.
Bethurum is walking back to his truck and comes across a strange package lying in the desert sands, as if dropped from the sky. A tag on the package clearly bears his name.
A package from them.
Inside are 2 long black flares, which he's certain are to be used to signal the Admiral's scout to land if he wished another visit or required his friend's intervention. He stores them carefully, a tangible link to his extraordinary experiences.
Signal flares. A way to call them.
In October 1952, Bethurum's job at Mormon Mesa ends, and he finds himself laboring in a new work camp near Kingman, Arizona. He worries the Clarionites might not locate him at the new site, so after no further visits by November 2nd, he sets out into the Arizona desert to test the signal flares.
Testing the flares. Will they work?
Within moments of the first flare bursting into fiery life, the familiar ship appears, silent and majestic, and Bethurum once again has an audience with Captain Rhanes. He's informed that the time for his long-awaited trip into space is soon, and he should prepare for departure.
Here soon. It's finally happening.
But when the beautiful lady captain and her magnificent ship vanish this 11th time, it is to be their final direct visit with Truman Bethurum.
What? The final visit? Just like that?
That's it. His promise of space travel, the ultimate cosmic adventure, is never fulfilled.
Oh man, after all that build-up.
When igniting the second signal flare some weeks later brings no response from the sky, Bethurum becomes disconsolate and disappointed. He guesses that urgent business elsewhere diverted Captain Rhanes from her promise, perhaps even recalling her to her heavenly homeworld. But still, he feels profoundly abandoned and sad, left behind with an unfulfilled longing for the stars.
Heartbreaking. Just abandoned.
When the Arizona job finally ends, he returns home to his wife and daughters in Redondo Beach, California. His wife, Mary, still refuses to believe his saucer stories and, tragically, forbids him to speak of his experiences in their home, effectively isolating him further. Bethurum's depression deepens, a profound loneliness settling in.
Back home to disbelief and isolation.
Crushing. The flares, initially a tangible connection and a tool for agency, ultimately lead to deeper disappointment and a sense of profound loss. The unfulfilled promise of space travel is a truly poignant, heartbreaking ending to his direct encounters, leaving him with profound regret and a painful return to social isolation and personal depression. It highlights the double-edged sword of such contact. Incredible insight and wonder, but also profound loss and a gnawing sense of abandonment.
Just when his depression deepens, almost as if the universe is intervening on his behalf, something incredible changes everything in the Bethurum household.
A positive turn.
One day, a letter arrives from world-renowned extraterrestrial contactee George Adamski.
Adamski, the other big name from that era.
Exactly. Adamski, a prominent figure in the burgeoning UFO movement of the 1950s, has heard about Bethurum's experiences among the space people and is inviting Truman and Mary to visit him on Mount Palomar in California, where he lives and shares his own stories of interplanetary contact, primarily with beings from Venus.
Wow. Adamski reaches out.
That such a prominent public figure has taken a serious interest in her husband's stories significantly softened Mary's resolve, and after much convincing, she agrees to join him in the visit.
Adamski's fame changed her mind. Interesting.
Adamski then tape records Bethurum telling his story in meticulous detail, ensuring it's preserved. This tape is destined to be played for the many visitors to Mr. Adamski's home and shared among his fellow saucer researchers, spreading Bethurum's unique account far and wide.
The story gets out there.
The tape becomes an absolute sensation within the contactee community, and soon saucer enthusiasts are knocking on Bethurum's door at all hours of the day and night and calling him from every corner of the globe.
He becomes famous, or infamous, overnight.
Pretty much. This external validation from a figure as prominent as Adamski is a critical turning point, effectively rescuing Bethurum from his deep depression and giving his story broader legitimacy and reach that he could never have achieved alone. It truly illustrates how deeply personal, extraordinary experiences, once shared, can quickly become part of a much larger cultural phenomenon defining an era.
And this leads directly to Bethurum's enduring legacy. At Mr. Adamski's urging, Truman Bethurum enlists a professional ghostwriter, Mrs. Mary K. Tennyson, to help him compile his stories and copious notes into a definitive narrative of all his Clarion contacts.
The book, Aboard a Flying Saucer.
That's the one. Although he never made it into space on a Clarion scow, that dream remained unfulfilled. His book establishes him as the second great contactee of the 1950s, positioning him firmly alongside Adamski himself. This achievement launched him forever into the firmament of stars that make up the true golden age of flying saucers.
So no trip, but he gets his place in history.
Exactly. The transition from Bethurum's personal, often isolated experience to a widely published narrative is such a crucial step in the contactee phenomenon, allowing his story to influence countless others. His classification as the second great contactee signifies his historical importance, positioning him as a foundational figure in shaping public perception of UFOs and extraterrestrial contact during a truly pivotal era. It raises an important question for us. What is the enduring appeal of stories like Truman Bethurum's, even without physical provable evidence in the traditional sense, and how do they continue to shape our understanding of the possible and what might truly be out there, perhaps even on the other side of our moon?
So as we bring this deep dive to a close, Truman Bethurum's journey from a reluctant asphalt mechanic in the Nevada desert to a cosmic confidant with alien visitors is just, it's extraordinary.
It really is something else.
The sheer detail in his accounts, the philosophical conversations he had, and the deeply human element of his personal struggles and eventual validation, it's truly a testament to the power of one person's extraordinary experience to captivate and challenge our understanding of reality.
What's fascinating here is how Bethurum's story, with its very specific details about Clarion culture, their concerns about Earth, and their advanced, yet sometimes perplexing technology, offers a complete alternative vision of extraterrestrial interaction. Not just as visitors, but as observers, and even moral guides.
Yeah, the Christian angle was wild.
Right. It powerfully invites us to consider, if even a fraction of this detailed account holds truth, how might our understanding of human history, our societal progress, and our very place in the cosmos need to fundamentally shift?
It's a huge question. Consider the persistent human yearning for connection, for answers beyond our world, and how tales like Bethurum's, full of both wonder and unanswered questions, continue to resonate with us even decades later. What parts of this true account of factual experience challenge your own assumptions about what's possible, and what might truly be out there, perhaps even, as Aura Rhanes claimed, on the other side of our moon? Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.